artist. For this week's lesson, we are going to learn all about the art of weaving. Now, if you've never heard of this, weaving is typically that art form that you would use to make a rug, blankets, different hanging tapestries that you can have on your wall. And right here, I have the beginning of one that I started this week. Now this crazy contraption is called a loom. And a loom is how you actually would create that interlocking pattern, such as you guys can see here, that would then turn it into a finished rug or blanket or whatever it is that you are wanting to make. So these strings right here are called the wefts. And we're going to be making something similar today, but using paper. So I'm going to put this off to the side. And for today's lesson, you're just going to need at least 2 sheets of paper. If you want to get jazzy, you can get multiple colors. So you can just use construction paper. You can, if you have drawing paper or copy paper, you can do, you could actually paint with watercolors or using that marker and tinfoil method and color one of the papers and then use colored construction paper to then weave through the main grid, which you guys can see here. The white is my main paper and the colored are going to be essentially like what the string would be to weave through. So all you're gonna need is at least 2 sheets of paper that are the same size or more if you want multiple colors, and scissors, and that's it. So without further ado, let's learn how to do this. So here's my example of my paper weaving and examples of my strips. Now for today's project, you'll need 3 pieces of paper about the same size and scissors. The first step is to take your base paper, which is going to be our actual loom, and fold it in half. What I would suggest is take it vertically and fold the bottom up to the top so you're left with a folded edge at the bottom. Next, take that top edge and fold it down just to create a crease, which is what we're going to use to cut to. Now I'm going to cut about 1 inch lines all the way from the folded crease on the bottom all the way to that top folded edge. That folded edge at the top is just where you stop cutting because we want this to all be one continuous piece of paper. There should be nothing that gets cut off. The next step we're going to do is create our strips to weave with. So turn your colored paper horizontally and cut about 1/2 inch to 1 inch wide strips. Now I'm using 2 colors for this example, so I'm only going to cut about half of my paper before switching to the other color. Now if your strips are not totally even, you can measure them out and draw them with a ruler first, but it's all gonna be okay if they're a little bit off. So here I'm using my second color. You'll notice that some of my strips are 1 inch, some of them are a little skinnier. That's just gonna give it a little bit more variety. So now that we have our strips, we're ready to start the weaving. So you're gonna take your first color and you're gonna go over top and then underneath. Over top, underneath, over top, underneath, over, slide it under, over, and then you're gonna take your fingers and slide that strip all the way up until it can't go anymore. Next, take your second color, if you're using a second color, and do the opposite. So now it's going to start under, over, under, over, under the white paper, over the white paper. Take your fingers, slide it all the way up. Go back to that first color and start again, this time reversing. So this is going to repeat again, going over first, then under, over, under, over, under. So every single row is going to just go and repeat that method and just keep switching. watercolor or paint a picture on your wefting paper, that first main paper that we made all those cuts. You could also paint multiple or draw on all of the papers and see what happens when you weave all the different individual ones. I am so excited to see what you guys created, and make sure you guys send me pictures on the Google Drive.